If you've ever wondered whether AI can actually build a financial model from scratch, a real one, not a toy, then this video is for you. I'm Vuk Talian, founder of Odin Mimir. I spent a decade in investment banking, and today I work with business owners and M&A advisors preparing for transactions. On this channel, I'll be sharing resources that make finance and M&A more accessible for founders, management teams, and advisors who want AI working for them, not against them. We're kicking things off with a 3-video series on LBO models and Claude. First, we build one in the browser. Second, we use Claude in Excel. And third, we use Claude Code. No Excel required. Let's get into it. So this is what we're going to get started with. These are going to be our baseline assumptions. Don't get too hung up on how realistic some of these are in terms of, say, tax rates or interest rates. It's really just to get us started. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to build out the LBO myself, and then we're going to have Claude build it out, and we're going to do a comparison of the two. Look, we're going to have purchase price here, 550 million, same entry and exit, EBITDA multiples. We got some of our operating assumptions down here, and we're going to keep the cash balance at post-transaction at 23 million, and the senior debt and subordinated debt at 5 times and 3 times EBITDA with 8 and 12% interest rates, and then just fees and expenses of 2.5% of the purchase price. We're going to throw in a couple of curveballs here for Claude and myself in terms of the transaction date being in April, so not at the beginning of the year, and then we'll have this management option pool also to consider. All right, so that's the setup. Let's run through this. All right, so there we have it. 15 minutes, not too shabby. Now what we're gonna do is switch gears and input the base assumptions into Claude and see how long this takes Claude to do. Claude in the browser, and we're gonna write a prompt that's gonna give the base assumptions. Same ones we had before. Purchase price, exit multiple the same, transaction date, 5-year timeline, and we're noting for Claude that the first year is fractional. Minimum cash balance, management option pool, capital structure, senior debt, subordinated debt, key financing fees at 0 for simplicity. That's what we had back there, and transaction fees are just 2.5% of purchase price. Our operating assumptions that we had: debt repayment, all cash after the minimum cash. Each year is used for debt repayment. And then we wanted to produce the following schedule: sources and uses table, 5-year projected income statement, levered cash flow calculation for 5 years, cash and debt schedule showing, beginning balances, payments, ending balances, returns analysis, and then exit, enterprise value, and equity value for the returns analysis, MOIC, IRR to equity investors. And let's also say don't include any sensitivity tables for simplicity. And then please provide me with an Excel output. I like how I say please here. Guess habits of being polite and etiquette if I'm talking to a person. Actually, funny story here. Talked to somebody and I said, do you prompt with please? And he said, oh yeah, of course I do. I said, well, why? And he said, well, you know, when they take over, I want to make sure that they know I was nice. So there you go. We're going to keep the police in there. And now we've got Sonnet running, but I usually run everything on Sonnet, but let's go for Opus 4.6 here. So best model to see what it produces. I'm going to start the timer here, and we're going to let it rip. All right, so 5.5 minutes. It's got the output here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna hit download to download it, and then we're gonna put them side by side and compare what they look like. To make everything kind of apples to apples, we'll actually start the timer for this as well, because we're checking Claude's work to make sure everything aligns. So let's start that timer, and let's compare. So here we've got the stub fraction being calculated by Claude slightly differently than us because of the number of days. So let's, just to make it exactly the same, we're going to put in that same number. When we come down here, then we can see sources and uses. Claude is missing the minimum cash. So the cash has got to come from somewhere. It's cash-free, debt-free transaction, so post-close needs to come from somewhere, so we need to include that here. Let's connect that, and then needs to obviously sum correctly. And now we're on the same page. All right, if we keep moving down, this is a very nice catch. A lot of times this is missed, but Claude picked up on that fractional year and calculated it. Let's see how that compares to ours. We compute the fractional year here at the bottom, directly in the levered free cash flow. Claude is doing it within the income statement. It's taking the annualized revenue, and then it's figuring out that stub. Filters down. So if we look at the net income, okay, so this is also nice on Claude's part. It doesn't have, you know, positive taxes, so we can incorporate that as well and just go this way. And then the difference between the net income is again because of that stub period here. So now if we keep going down, let's compute the levered free cash flow. Claude starts from net income, we start from EBITDA, and subtract off the CapEx, which here is based on that stub. That's good. And then, oh, okay, so this is a good catch. I forgot to include here taxes. So taxes need to be also subtracted off. And now it's at 1.38. Claude is at 0.75. Seems that something is different. So this is based off the stub. This also takes the stub. So this one is not computing off of the stub as it should. And so we can just move that down. Or actually, let's do it in this one so that the later years don't get messed up. And if we connect it up here, now we're at 1.38. 1.38, 4.2 or 4.3, the rest all aligns. Let's keep moving down. The debt schedule aligns exactly, 223 all the way to 193.9. Let's let's come down to the return analysis. We've got the same enterprise value at exit 813 million minus the same net debt 505 for the equity value. Now, what is Claude doing here with the man? Okay. So Claude seems to be taking the management option pool, multiplying it by this equity value. Now that would be correct if these options had a strike price of 0, but more often than not, what they have is actually a strike price that's set at the start of the transaction. So you need to get that implied additional cash as a result of exercising the option included within the equity value. So that's what we're doing here, and we can just match those two up. So instead of doing this directly, it should also include that in additional value. And there we go, 481 million. So there we go. And we can stop the timer, and let's just actually check 2.2 for MOIC, 18.1 for the IRR. Let's stop our timer. And that's another 5.5 minutes. So in total, about 11 minutes to get it pulled together using Claude, checking it against this other model. But most importantly, what you've got here is a tool that gives you the scaffolding, not just for this model, but practically any model out there that you want to build. And you can follow these steps, but as you'll see in subsequent videos, we're also going to integrate this directly into Excel or onto your desktop with Claude Code to build these without even going into the browser.